Now then, next up on the table, we have a bottle of Bivrost. This is Alfheim.
So this is...
Tell me, Bivrost.
This is the world's most northern distillery.
Okay.
So Norwegian distillery, but on the Arctic Circle. Okay. Quite unique in that sense. I think we've tried a variation of this distillery once before. But this is quite different. Founded in 2016, so quite a modern distillery.
Sure.
And I'm not really sure what to expect. This is quite an unusual release because this one's using so many different wood types.
Yes, this one, I look at the labels. This is Alfheim, which means obviously nothing to me. Limited edition World Oaks.
Yeah.
Which is a phrase that I've not seen on whiskey labels before.
Alfheim, because it's part of this mythical Nordic series that they've done. Okay. So 9 special releases. All with a bit of a different story to it, and they're all quite small batch. And the World Oaks, we have some European oak, American oak, Chinkopin oak, Hungarian oak, and Colombian oak. So the last one takes me because I've never heard of that in a whiskey before. Hungarian oak readily used in Scotch whiskey industry, as is Chinkopin, European and American oak, of course. I'm not sure if it's refill casks. We don't know what's been in it previously. We don't know if it's virgin oaks from these oak seeds because it doesn't actually say it on their website.
We also don't know the split. So it could have been American oak 95% of the time and then sloshed about in 5 other casks.
Yeah, one of about 4,500 bottles this release. So quite artisanal. They say handcrafted on the bottle as well. One thing I think is worth mentioning whenever we're talking about Bivrost is their barley. Right. They do a big song and dance about their barley because it is so northern. And because it's on the Arctic Circle, daylight until midnight. So it's going to be quite unusual. Well worth checking out their website if you've not had their whiskey before because they are quite transparent in the fact that it's not been a very smooth sailing start to the new distillery. Some of the growing stuff in such a cold climate.
It's all been quite experimental.
I think so. I think they're still trying to work out exactly what it is they're going to do in the long run. We tried a kind of smoky variation last time, which was an ex-Isla cask, so this should be quite different. But this is a Nordic distillery that is making peated and unpeated whiskey.
Sure. Going back to the World Oaks, obviously you mentioned, 5 or 6 different types. For me, that's too many.
It can be a red flag.
When it's, a double maturation or a finish, you think, right, okay, I can taste the bourbon element and the wine finish or whatever, it gives it an extra layer. When it's 5 or 6, you think, how can anybody unpack that and appreciate each of those different strands?
Without focusing too badly into one whiskey, the biggest kind of example is probably the Jura 7 wood. You think, what's happened to the first 6 woods? If it's after 6 variations of that distillate,
it's still not good enough.
It's still not great. There must be something going on. Obviously, what they're going to argue and what White Mackay would argue with Jura is this is going to be a harmony. It's going to be balanced. So we have to wait and try it, I suppose. But I do get your reservations. It's a lot going on for a very young whiskey.
Yep.
Is that because a lot of the casks aren't quite ready at this point? It's hard to say. We don't know the age of this whiskey, actually, to be fair.
Yeah. I'm expecting this to be quite confused, I think.
Okay.
I'm expecting to be confused. Colombian oak is completely new to me.
I've never heard of that.
I can imagine us making generalisations about hints of coffee or something.
Yeah, I think it's worth saying as well, they're using all these different oak casks. They do talk a lot about, because it's such a cold climate, they're using very small casks to mature their whiskey in. So maybe that's why they're experimenting so much, because they have lots of small casks to play around with.
But I'm
apprehensive.
Yeah, skeptical, I would maybe go as far as to say. Yeah. But it's, from a couple we've had before, the spirit has been characterful, which for me is always a good thing. I hate a whiskey that's safe and kind of one-dimensional and a bit boring.
Yeah, I like the bottle too, actually. I do. It is quite distinctive. This whole series is. I can't claim to know that much, unfortunately, about mythology of the Nordic gods, but it's...
you should have done your homework.
Yeah, I know.
Very disappointed.
Some of the photos you see of the distillery and the northern lights and stuff they get is obviously spectacular. So if the whiskey comes really good, got to think it's going to be a hot spot to go and visit.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's give it a wee nose.
For me straight away, it's quite it's farmy again, I would say. It's lots of Campbelltown funk. It's reminded me of here. It's quite, again, it's characterful.
Yeah. I'm not sure what I think of the nose. I think it's a little bit damp smelling.
Like wet cardboard.
Yeah. Maybe a little bit of spice, which again would make me think it's virgin oak. I think in my head I want this to be virgin oak because I'm like, there's so many woods involved and it's a young whiskey that could give some maturity to it. Maybe a little bit of spice. It is quite damp smelling, a little bit wet cardboard
Not
for sure.
spirity though.
Doesn't smell young necessarily. 46%.
Yep.
I think 40%. Which again, great.
Yeah, I think it smells quite. I think it's helped having had at least one of these before, so I sort of knew what I was getting into.
We're taken aback the first time we know.
First time I tried was spat it on the floor.
Yeah.
But this is, it's kind of, I don't know what it reminds me of. Maybe
it gives you it is kind of what you expect from these artisanal, handcraft style distilleries where the palate's probably going to be so different to the nose again, but.
Yeah, I quite like it on the nose actually.
Okay.
I think it reminds me a bit of Kilchoman. Kind of a nice bit of depth to it, good use of casks. Okay, maybe that's the whole farm distillery thing coming in as an obvious comparison.
Wow. Okay, that palate is bonkers. That is like
it's kind
old cinnamon sweets. I mean, that's really
lingers, isn't it?
Isn't that an interesting? That's so cinnamon forward to me. So different to the nose. Again, you say Kilchoman, it's worth saying. I don't think this is peated. I don't think. But I know what you mean. It's that kind of farmy style. The palate of that is like sweets that your granny would like. Really kind of cola cubes, but cinnamon. So much cinnamon. It's got to be.
I don't think it's overly sweet. I think it's a surprising sweetness for me. Kind of comes through sort of like mid palate on the finish, which
I think honestly I was so shocked the first time I tried that. Well, another taste. I like it though.
Now, what type of oak is giving all that sweetness? Which of the 17 different casks? It's tricky, but it's not. I guess it's layered and it's well integrated. I think, which for me was the concern having all these different.
Yeah,
casks.
it's maybe got a bit of that kind of. I know you say about sweetness. American whiskey. It has a bit of that spice that you might get from a rye.
Okay.
It's not as like vanilla you expect from a bourbon, but
because you don't really love rye whiskey in general.
I don't.
Right? No,
generally not. Whereas I do like bourbon, which is quite simple and plain and simplistic. But it does remind me a bit of rye. There's a real heavy spice note in there, which I think has to come from the use of virgin oak. Which again, I could be so wrong. Like they'll just comment on this video, no virgin oak used.
Yeah, what are you on about?
It's certainly what I get, and it doesn't taste young, but it's bold, it's in your face. The palate is so loud. It tastes a little stronger than 46% to me too.
I was just thinking, I'm glad it's not any stronger than 46.
Yeah.
I feel like 46 is fine. I think we're sort of at the stage now where whiskey's at 40% or 43. I think it just tastes very wet. But it's 46 for me is a nice sort of middle ground, particularly for a whiskey like this, which has that challenging characteristics to it, and it's got those different layers to it.
It is a thought-provoking whiskey. It's one of those I think maybe over time or with water could develop as well. But it is young, so if they're producing this at this age, maybe that's quite exciting. Yeah,
it's a nice dram. I think I like a whiskey where you taste it and you know you've had a whiskey.
Yeah,
which sounds silly, but I
know what you're saying. Like you feel it. It's quite distinctive. It really is quite distinctive. The nose again, I think still is a bit odd. But the palate really delivers. I think that's really tasty.
Yeah,
it's just a bit spicy for me.
Okay,
but I think I'm associating it with rye so much because that's the kind of
I think it's a whiskey that sort of demands your attention. I know we've said before, some whiskies are great because you can just sip it and enjoy it and chat away to your friends and it's fine. This one
is not quite as simple.
I feel like would stop you mid-sentence and be like, oh, jeez.
But you would make them try it. You would say, you have to try this.
Yeah.
Well, thanks very much. It was really interesting.
Yeah, really good. I think it's a smart move as well, having this in 50 CL.
Yeah.
I think it's great to try. It's great to revisit and sort of get to grips with it.
If I've seen this range in a bar,
Yeah.
having tried 2 of the range now, I would try the others. I would, and I'm not sure I would love them.
Yeah.
But I would try them. I would be like, okay, because so far those 2 are really different to each other.
But I always feel if this was a litre bottle, it'd sit on my shelf for a while. It'd be a struggle.
That would be rough. That would
the
be
50
rough.
CL works really well.
Yeah.
A challenging dram is not a flavour profile I can immediately think of something that's similar I've had before.
Interesting distillery, great story, and you'd think can only get better as well.
But it's, age doesn't make a great whiskey, so...
This is true.
Yeah, well, nice one to try. Cheers, Ross.
I like all 5 casks, I've got to say. I'm surprised.
Each one adds something. Good.
Cheers.
If you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more Bevvy content. We want to hear what you think, your best whiskey experiences, the whiskies you want us to try. It's a really exciting journey we're on, so make sure to join us. Download the Bevvy app on Google Play and App Store to keep track of your whiskey journey, connect with your whiskey friends, keep track of your favourites, anything you could ever want to do with whiskey, all in one place. It's the definitive whiskey companion.